So Jonathan, we're back filming, and a topic that's really important to me. How do we support trainees when they have blips in their training or through life whilst they're with us?
Yeah, it's such an important topic, isn't it? I think one of the challenges we have in paediatrics is training's very long. In fact, your whole medical career is long, and so much can happen during it.
And our trainees are with us through their formidable years. They may have maternity leave, they may have bereavement, they may move house, they may get married. And actually that can impact you in the workplace. And how do we support them and facilitate them getting through those challenges?
And the workplace, it's got to be remembered, is also quite a difficult and challenging place to be. I mean, there's so much trauma that can go on psychologically and even physically as well there. So how these two things play together is really important.
I was doing a busy job with a long commute and found managing being a new parent and working really, really tricky. I felt like I wasn't doing either job well enough, and when I was at work I was worrying about getting home in time for bath time and things like that. And when I was at home I was worrying about trying to fit in doing all the extra things that I wanted to do to contribute to my career progression. And I felt like that often described swan that was frantically paddling along underneath, just hanging on by my fingernails.
After I did my core registrar years, I took some time out to do some research and thought that I wanted to do a PhD, and really quite quickly realised that actually I was quite unhappy, was missing clinical work, and I really wasn't sure that this was the right decision for me. I had a very bad experience talking to a very senior professor, and I kind of got to this point where I felt really lonely and really unsure about where I was heading.
I was standing in the witness box at an inquest. A child had died. I'd sent home a patient with an interception, and that patient later died from electrolyte imbalances. I was there as the barrister exposed my lack of understanding and knowledge of paediatrics. This wasn't surprising. I was actually an FY3 in the emergency department in a largely unsupervised role.
I was a bit annoyed about doing so many nights and so many weekends, and on the flight home decided to apply for GP training because I thought shorter training, fewer weekends. So I filled in the form and asked for a reference, and then the following week had a really, really busy couple of weeks on ITU and just loved it. And I thought, well, this is actually what I really enjoy doing. This is what I'm going to keep doing.
My boyfriend died unexpectedly and it threw me completely. I drowned at work, I drowned in my personal life, I was unable to cope, and I was heartbroken, sad, angry, every single emotion you could have ever imagined.
I've had a couple of very complicated pregnancies and had my baby boys in ICU. And later I had breast cancer, which resulted in lots of surgery, radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And along the way, I've thought I've managed reasonably well, but I came to realise that actually I did need a bit of help. And that was quite scary, to acknowledge it first to myself and then to go and ask for some help.
I was an ST8 and I went straight into a substantive consultant job, a job that I really thought I'd enjoy and love. I made friends, got involved in projects, and as I was doing that, I realised there was aspirations I wasn't meeting, and made the difficult decision to leave that substantive job for a locum job elsewhere. That decision was hard. There was tears, fears about losing friends and colleagues, and I took some coaching to help myself through that.
Unfortunately, I had a whole succession of miscarriages, and I have to say that for the first time in my career, that really got me down. Sometimes I made it quite a long way, sometimes not very far.
Well, we've brought together two people who are brilliant at this. So Ruth Shepherd, who's a TPD and Deputy Head of School with us, and Lucy Sterling, who's a clinical psychologist.
Yeah, there couldn't be two better people, really. I mean, Ruth, there's nobody who has more experience of what trainees are going through, but also Lucy's insights as well, having worked with a lot of trainees in positions like this, and as with her expertise as a clinical psychologist too.
So Lucy, I really wanted to have this session with you because for many years we've been running trainee contact meetings. And when the trainees have come, they often feel that they're the only one in this situation. But in fact, a lot of the challenges they talk about are the same challenges as many of their colleagues.
So I think that there's something so powerful and important about normalising the experiences that we go through as humans. And actually, you're working with trainee doctors, but actually whatever profession and area of life people come from in terms of work, in terms of background, we're actually all going through very similar inner experiences. We're all trying to avoid discomfort and anxiety. We're all trying to move towards situations that make us feel more comfortable and at ease. And that is part of survival. That is part of our evolution. And we're never going to be able to change that pattern. So there's something about understanding, okay, if that's there as the sort of instinct, that's what we're going to do. How can we step back and understand that and bring some acceptance and compassion and wisdom to the way we think about our thoughts and feelings and behaviours in order to be able to thrive and feel a sense of flourishing.
So as doctors, we're expected and trained to be problem solvers and to make things better. But sometimes for ourselves, we end up digging deeper and deeper holes and we're making things worse. And we can't actually seem to be getting anything sorted.
We're all natural problem solvers, and that's why we're here. That's why as a species we're still here. We've been successful at solving problems, and so we're never going to stop doing that, and it's really important that we don't. But there's also something about being able to learn to be comfortable with not always having the solutions and the answers. And actually, if we think of more simple mammals, the problems they're facing are more simple. So, where's the next meal coming from? Where am I going to be sheltered this evening? Have I got, a partner to hang out with? And we have, as humans, those same needs, but we also have far more complex drives for successes and achievements and attainments and social status. And because we have these higher brains that enable us to analyze, what's going on inside us and what's going on in the outside world, to ruminate on the past, to project and worry about the future. It means that we can very easily get into these cycles where we've got that sort of animal anxiety in response to a stressful situation, but then we've got this human ability to think about, well, why am I not managing this very well? How could I have done this differently? That person over there seems to be managing it differently. And we know, well, as best we can know, that when animals are, running across the Sahara away from a hunter, they're not looking around and thinking, what are the other animals thinking and doing? They're just focused on their survival.
So these days we hear a lot about resilience. In fact, it was on my job description, it's essential criteria that I was resilient. In terms of our sort of self-care, what does that actually mean? Because it's in some ways a bit of a dirty word now, isn't it?
No, I absolutely agree. And I think it does have quite negative connotations now. It feels like something that we should have. There's a judgment there that you either have it or you don't. The fact that it's on a job description echoes that. Actually, resilience, we all have. It's our ability to persist and grow through adverse life disruptions, extended periods of stress. Now, of course, all of us, based on our genetics, based on our life experiences, will sort of start at different points with that. It is a fluid process, but all of us, without a doubt, have the ability to strengthen and grow our resilience. And we're using it all the time. We're using it here today as we sit in front of cameras, to manage our worries about the current situation. And actually resilience, covers a variety of domains in our life, whether it's about our sort of physical state, our social state, our emotional state, or our psychological state. And actually starting to build awareness and knowledge of what that means and what that looks like for us can be really powerful.
So if I'm at home and actually I'm in a phase that I'm feeling a bit stuck and don't really know where to go or what to do, what sort of suggestions would you have?
Thankfully, what's great is we've got all sorts of different levels of things that we can do. And I think very much we start with ourselves. What resources do we have within us? What are our strengths? Where do we struggle? Are there areas where we struggle that we want to strengthen? And if so, where might we go to do that? We'll look at the resources available to us in our network. Who are our family, friends, colleagues? Who are the people that we're going to turn to within an organisation that we work in? But also that recognition and acknowledgement and courage to know that sometimes we're going to want other sources of help. We may want a professional mental health space to think through some difficulties, and actually, accessing that and knowing that that's okay to access is really important. None of us would walk around having an aching tooth, month on month on month and not go and see a dentist. None of us would do the same with any other part of our body that we were struggling with. But interestingly, when it comes to that inner struggle, we're really willing to persist with adversity for a lot longer. And I think there's something about just deciding, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take action.
I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was 19 and have dealt with that through most of medical school and all of my training. And what's really helped me to overcome this during my training has really been talking to people, having conversations with people like my supervisor and my colleagues at work, and occupational health, which has given me a lot of support around the times where things aren't going quite so well, when I'm having times when I'm in pain or feeling tired or stiff or frustrated because maybe something hasn't gone quite as well as I'd hoped.
It's okay not to be okay. And if I could impress on any of you one thing, don't be afraid to tell those around you, those who supervise you, those who you work with, tell them what you need. And take all the time that you need.
So I would urge anyone who is feeling uncertain to reach out. I particularly recommend the Deanery Careers Coaching. It's a fantastic opportunity to speak to someone neutral who didn't really mind what decision I made, but helped me reflect on how I was feeling.
Allow yourself to find that joy in your work, and work-life balance doesn't have to be tearing yourself away from the unit or away from your department. It can be that you just enjoy going to work, and I think that's what I really learned.
What I did was I sought help. My supervisors were amazing. They gave me an extended period of bereavement leave, which I really needed, and they gave me regular advice and counselling.
What I'd like to share is sometimes you do go backwards and have a U-turn, and your path might not be straight, but actually with the right help, you can make the right decisions for yourself.
My advice would be to talk to people, let people know what's going on when you're struggling, and to be able to take that support when it's offered to you.
Some people who know me will know me as a cancer survivor, actually, and you'll be amazed how the system is set up to support you. The system is set up to flex when you need it to, and I think it's actually increasingly important for us as paediatricians and senior paediatricians to role model that for all of those who follow us as well, to role model that sometimes it's okay not to be okay, and it's okay to ask for what we need.
So Jonathan, what a powerful talk from all our speakers today. I'm really hoping this is going to be really impactful for our trainees and our trainers.
Oh, it's amazing, wasn't it? I particularly like the insights from Lucy as well. I mean, I learned quite a lot of new things there, and I really hope it's going to be helpful for our trainees and lots of other people as well watching this.
What I wanted our trainees to take away is that we've all been through difficult journeys and we shared our own stories. And actually there is a way through, and asking for help is crucial.
Yeah, and I think I didn't necessarily realise when I went into medicine just how common this kind of sense of feeling lost and alone really is. Now we can see lots of different people's stories. They're all different, but they also have lots of common themes in there. And the exciting thing is that actually they're not permanent and you can find a way through.
And so who are we saying that our trainees should go to if there's difficulties through training?
Well, I think the most important message is that you're not on your own and there's lots of things that can be done. So I think probably the most important person to talk to is local people in your own department, your educational supervisor, your college tutor. There's TPDs. At the moment, we're putting on lots of contact meetings at the school as well. But then there's lots of professional organisations as well. And for trainees in London, of course, there's the Physician Health Partners, and also the Professional Support Unit can be very helpful too. These things are normal, and actually we need to help people through them too.
Well, I really hope this video is the starting point of that.
Me too.